Hey everyone, VortexTCG here, and today I'm going to be showcasing you the second round of my locals of me playing Imperialdramon, and my opponents will be playing Red Hybrid. And if you're looking forward to the video, please do like and subscribe. Only 20% of you are actually subscribed that watch my video, so I would very much appreciate it if you guys subscribe. I'm uploading pretty much every other day. Anyways, my opponent gets pretty much the best start you can get. He goes into Flamon and then plays the set to 3 Takuya. He swings with the Flamon, it dies, he's able to draw one from the inheritable Yoko, I want to believe it's called. And yeah, I mean, at this point he's able to go into hybrids, pushing his advantage a lot more, but he decides to go into the Flamon, which allows him to search a Tamer and I believe a hybrid. Just the Tamer in this case. I think the BT4 one is the one that allows you to search for a Tamer and a hybrid, if I'm correct. But I believe this Flamon has an inheritable that allows you to play a Tamer for free, so pretty strong. So I swing into security with the Wormmon to draw an additional card, but unfortunately I hit another Takuya, so my opponent is pretty much all ready for the following turn and I can't really do much about it. I go into the Vmon here, I'm able to get the Davis, which is pretty nice from the Vmon. When you always hit the Vmon, or when you with the Vmon, if you hit like the Davis as well as the free, which is pretty much always guaranteed, it's good. I swing again and I hit another Takuya. I mean, this is just what happens, unfortunately. Like, the luck is very, very strong with this one, it seems, because, I mean, what are you meant to do in this situation? Like, because now he's got all the resources in the world. I mean, he's only at 3 memory, but he's able to gain 2 memory quite easily from the Takuya. That allows him to set to 3, because when he swings with 10k at the end of the attack, he gains 2 memory. So it's not a good situation. But it just depends if he has all the pieces he needs, essentially, and if he can do everything correctly. So he goes into the Burning Greymon here for a cost of 2, which allows him to gain 2k DP. He swings into the Wormmon, which I think makes sense because he needs to get rid of at least 1, otherwise I'll be able to swing for game. He was going to go into the Agumon, but he decided not to. He goes into the Agumon on the Burning Grey, so if I decide to delete it, he'll be able to play another Takuya from a hand, I believe it is, this one. And he'll swing into the Flamon into the Wormmon, and then goes Burning Grey, deleting one of the 2. He deletes the Wormmon, and yeah, I mean, at this point, like, can't really do much about it in this situation, because essentially, I mean, if I have an answer, which I assume for me would be something like Imperialdramon or Dino B, I might be able to do something here, but I mean, it's not looking good, because I think in all of my games here I was struggling to find either the Stingmon or the XVmon to go into my level 5 plays, and this is just one of the things that this is just one of the things that happens with this deck. I mean, you either find loads of Stings or XVs, and you always need the other one, because if you don't have it, well, you're kind of doomed. So at this point, I'm just figuring out like the effects on board. I go Stingmon here, hoping that I could find the XV, but I think even if I find the XV, it's too late, if I'm being honest. I have the Kendo, so maybe I can gain a little bit of memory. I end up playing the Davis here because I just don't have the card, and of course I find another Stingmon and I find the Imperial, but at this point the game is pretty much over. Pretty much following up. He goes into the Burning Grey for 1, gaining additional DP, so he's at least 10k now, so he's swinging for 2 checks, lives, and then he's going to swing with the other ones as well, probably. Swings with the Flamon, it dies, he gets to draw a card. And then he goes into the Burning Grey, deleting the Stingmon, which, you know, is what it is. Still at 1 memory, so he can hybrid even further to get the 2k, I believe. Swings again, and now it's just a case of, does he have the other answer? He doesn't, so I get a little bit of a turn following up, but at this point, like, it's pretty much unwinnable, because essentially he just has a big enough board and I've only got 3 memory. I mean, there's no way I can pretty much wipe the board, so You can see my hand is huge at this point, but I just don't have the pieces, I don't think, so it is just really, really frustrating. You just can't do much about it, and it's fortunate. It's now game 2, and my opponent gets to start off here. He goes into the Flame mode, Flamemon, and then plays the Takuya, pretty much following his exact play from the first game. And I decide to, I think this is the game that I ended up doing pretty well, like drawing wise. I go into the Wormmon in Raising here, and I've got quite a lot of memory to play with, so I'm able to do probably a lot of plays than I normally would be able to do. So I play a Vmon to do some searching. I get a Davis here, which is very nice, and I'm just considering what else I want to add, and in this case I add the Vmon just so I can get some more Davis searches. And again, I just play another Vmon doing some more searching. Can't add the Ken, unfortunately. Punished for not adding the worm, I guess, but yeah, just add another worm here. He swings with the Flamemon, hits security. It's an XVmon, so he gets to, so it dies, and he draws a card from the Yokomon. And now it's just a case of, does he want a hybrid? And I believe in this game he has trouble finding hybrids, funny enough. So he goes into another Takuya from BT7 and then plays a Flamemon with the Inheritable. So I swing at security with Wormmon, drawing a card, it dies, which is kind of what I expected. No Takuya in security this time though, so that's probably better. I go into the XVmon for 2, drawing a card. I then swing at security with the Vmon, there's the Takuya, there's always one. I then play Stingmon and then end of turn DNA Digivolve using the Vmon Inheritable. I think I have a couple of options that I could do here, but I think it's a bit weird because you're kind of happy with whatever you do because you can stun or you can swing, but I don't have the Tamer out, the Davis in play to go into a Imperial easily, so I go into the Imperialdramon, gaining a memory, stunning the Flamemon here, but I can't swing into it, which is obviously very unfortunate. I swing a security, drawing a card from the Stingmon. I then go into Dragon mode, giving him 4, because he'll go to 3 anyways. Thinking about which ones I want to play with its effect, and obviously I have to play the Stingmon out, but I also play the Vmon out. I was tempted to get the XV, but I think I already had one in hand, but the search is quite nice here. So he goes into Flamemon. I think he's still having trouble finding the hybrids, which is obviously very unfortunate. He goes Atomic Inferno for 3 and then scoops the game up. We then get into game 3 and I get to start off here by going into the Wormmon, and I get a pretty good start here by going into the Davis. So early Davis is always nice, but I add the Worm and the XV to my hand, and let's just hope I get the Stingmon in my hand at some point, let's put it that way. He goes into his egg and then plays a Takuya to give him 1 memory. But it's not the memory cell, which is very important, but he also plays the Burning Greymon from his hand, and not too sure how I feel about this play if I'm being perfectly honest, but I don't think it really matters when I don't really have that many good cards in hand, I think. So I swing with the Wormmon here, get a draw off the XVmon, get to play the Vmon here now. I'll add the, I believe Vmon is, and now I'll just end up playing the Vmon again, giving him 1, allowing me to add the Davis and the Vmon. So I'm getting some decent searches, but you might be realizing that I'm missing something, and that card is Stingmon. Haven't been able to find it, and it's a struggle, let's put it that way. He goes into the BT4 Flamemon, allowing him to add, I believe, the Tamer and the Flamemon, which has hybrid in it, so pretty nice. I go into the Wormmon. This is the one that just has the DNA effect, which is pretty nice. Swing at security again, hits a Nagunimon, and as you can tell, just not doing very well on draws, let's put it that way. Unfortunately, this is one of the things that Imperialdramon really suffers from. It's just the fact that if you don't find your cards, this is what happens, man. It's just not great. So I pass the turn to him, giving him 2 memory, and obviously he's able to go into his Takuya and potentially go for a lot of security on this turn. So I believe the Burning Grey is currently 8k. Doesn't have the Tamer Inheritable, which is the most important part in this situation, because if he was, he'll be able to get a security attack or additional memory, which would be very problematic for me at the moment. He uses Atomic Inferno to give it 3k and security attack +1. I gain 2 memory and also swings into a Dino Beamon. The Hammer Spark, obviously very nice to pass the turn, but I don't think it really matters at this point. I feel like I'm very far behind as is. I play a Vmon. I still do not get a Stingmon here, which is very, very unfortunate for me. And now it's just a case of, is there a way that I can find a Stingmon? So, from any more searches anyways. So, I'm looking, checking to see if there's any options that I have. And if I'm being quite honest, I don't think there really is. So, just looking through my hand a couple of times here, just to make sure that I'm not missing something, because it kind of can be quite easy to miss some stuff, potentially. So, I think here I'm potentially going to swing with the XV to get a draw, which is the most craziest thing at this point. But I think you need to play to your outs. But in this case, I actually go into the XV just to pass him on 1, because I don't think, well, actually no, I have 2 securities, so he just ends up winning. So I think the top card that I ended up getting was a Stingmon. There's a Stingmon in security, and I lose the game.